My wife publicly said that sleeping with me was a duty, not love. That moment ended our marriage, but it wasn't the end of the story. After I walked away, I uncovered months of betrayal, manipulation, and financial deceit, involving my wife, our daughter, and the man she thought would replace me. What followed wasn't revenge. It was consequences. This is a real-life story about betrayal, boundaries, and what happens when people mistake patience for weakness. Watch until the end. The final outcome changes everything. My name is Adrian Cortez. I'm 45 years old. My wife announced it in front of her friends like it was a joke, like I was supposed to laugh along. We were sitting around a fire pit at a lake cabin, late May, the kind of night that looks peaceful from far away. Wine bottles on the table. Blankets on laps. Everyone talking over each other, telling old stories, pretending they still liked their own lives. And then my wife, Veronica, tilted her head, smiled that sharp little smile she'd been practicing for years, and said, "Sleeping with Adrian is a duty. Like cooking or cleaning. I don't want any of that anymore." The air went dead. Nobody laughed. Nobody moved. I remember hearing the crackle of the fire like it got louder on purpose, like even the flames wanted everyone to understand exactly what she meant. Then my daughter, my own daughter, added the final punch. "Mom's been unhappy for years," Mila said, staring at me like I was something she couldn't stand. "You're just too blind to notice. You're boring. Predictable. You're the reason our house feels miserable." I looked at her, waiting for the part where she pulled it back. Waiting for the part where she remembered I was her father. She didn't. She held my gaze and said something I'll never repeat in a way that gives it power. But the meaning was clear. She wished I would disappear. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I didn't beg for respect from people who were proud of not having any. I just stood up slowly, set my glass down, and said, "Thank you for finally being honest." Veronica rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic. "I'm just telling the truth," she said. "After years of pretending." I nodded once. "No. You just told everyone who you really are. And that's valuable." I turned to the host, a friend named Luis, and said, "Thanks for having me." Then I looked at Mila, who had shown up unannounced like this was a performance she'd been waiting for. "You drove here," I said calmly. "You can leave whenever you want. Or you can stay with your mom and her entertainment. Your choice." Her face flashed, confusion, then anger, then something softer that disappeared fast. I didn't wait for a reply. I walked into the cabin, grabbed my bag, checked my wallet and keys, and went straight to my car. 3 hours of mountain roads. Classical music low. Windows cracked open. Cold air in my lungs. It wasn't sadness that hit me on that drive. It was clarity. Because for the first time in a long time, I stopped asking myself what I could do better, and started asking myself what I had tolerated for too long. Before that weekend, my life looked fine to everyone else. I met Veronica at a supply chain conference in Denver. She was working a pharmaceutical booth, sharp and confident, the kind of woman who looked like she belonged on a stage. I was consulting independently from Boulder, analyzing manufacturing logistics. We talked business, then we talked like normal people, then we ended up at dinner the same night. Long distance turned into 6 months of, this might actually work. She moved to Colorado in the spring. We got married that summer, simple ceremony, family only. A year later, we had Mila. For years after that, we had our son, Toby. Veronica went back to sales fast after both pregnancies. I worked from home, so I became the stable one, school drop-offs, homework, meals, laundry, bedtime routines. I didn't complain, because I believed that's what partnership was. But around year 17, something changed. Veronica didn't just get tired. She checked out. First she stopped cooking. Then cleaning. Then showing up for anything that wasn't public. She'd come home, drop her bag, scroll her phone, and act like the house was a hotel she paid to stay in. Mila, at 16, became her mirror. Same tone. Same eye roll. Same look that said I was beneath them. And I still kept it running. Because I thought if I worked hard enough, stayed calm enough, loved them consistently enough, it would come back. It didn't. The week before the cabin trip, she spent money like she was auditioning for a new life. New outfits. New gear. New confidence. I packed 3 shirts and shorts. On the drive there, I asked her one normal question, something harmless. "Are you excited?" She smiled without warmth. "I'm excited to finally relax," she said, like home was a punishment. I should have understood right then. But I didn't. Not yet. When we arrived, everyone was already there. Laughing. Drinking. Performing happiness. Then someone else showed up. A man named Ryan. He was an old college ex of Veronica's. Supposedly, just a friend. Supposedly, no big deal. Veronica practically ran to him. They hugged longer than they needed to. His hand settled too low on her back. And her smile looked like something I hadn't seen in months. Ryan shook my hand and said, "Adrian. Finally meeting you." I said, "Veronica's mentioned you exactly twice in 18 years. His smile tightened for half a second. And that was when I knew this wasn't a coincidence. It was a reunion. That night by the fire pit, she made sure everyone watched her choose him over me. And then she said the line that changed everything. Sleeping with me was a chore. Like I was a duty. An obligation. A burden. When I left that cabin, I didn't leave because I was emotional. I left because I was done pretending. And when I got home, I opened the family computer. Her cloud account was still signed in. She never bothered changing the password. In 2 hours, I found everything. Messages with Ryan going back months. Plans. Photos. Work trips that weren't work trips. Receipts. Locations. But the part that turned my blood cold wasn't Ryan. It was Mila. Because my daughter wasn't just quiet. She was involved. She was warning Veronica about my schedule. Covering absences. Helping them time everything. Reading those messages felt like watching someone erase your role in their life, and celebrate it. And then, while I was still sitting there processing all of it, I noticed something else. A space on the shelf in my office. A space that had always held my grandfather's pocket watch, an heirloom passed down for 3 generations. Gone. I checked drawers. Closets. Boxes. Nothing. Then I checked the bank activity. And saw a deposit that didn't belong. That's when the pain stopped being abstract. This wasn't just betrayal. It was theft. It was disrespect with paperwork. And it meant one thing: Veronica didn't just want to hurt me. She wanted to profit from it. So I did what I always do when people underestimate me. I got calm. I started saving everything. And I called my lawyer on Monday morning. Because if she wanted to treat me like I was just a duty, then I was done being useful. And I was about to make sure everyone saw the truth. By Monday morning, I wasn't heartbroken. I was focused. People think the worst thing a man can do after betrayal is get angry. No. The worst thing, for the person who betrayed you, is when you stop reacting and start documenting. I met my attorney at 9 a.m. sharp. His name was Derek Sloan, mid-50s, calm voice, eyes that looked like they'd seen every kind of family collapse and still kept a straight face. He didn't ask me how I felt. He asked me what I had. So I slid my laptop across the table and said, "Everything." He scrolled through the messages. The receipts. The location history. The calendar overlaps. Then he paused at the part that made my jaw clench all over again, Mila texting her mother my schedule, like a lookout. Derek leaned back. "This isn't just an affair," he said. "This is coordination." Then I told him about the missing pocket watch. His expression changed, just slightly. "An heirloom?" he asked. 3 generations, I said. "And it's gone." Derek nodded slowly. "Okay," he said. "Now we're not only dealing with a marriage problem. We're dealing with money and property." I expected some speech about forgiveness. Instead, he opened a legal pad and wrote 3 words, "Temporary orders today." He looked at me and said, "You want stability for your son, right?" "My son is 12, I said. "He needs routine. School. Normal." "Then we move first," he said. "Before she turns this into a circus." That afternoon, I did something Veronica never expected. I acted like a man who understood the rules. I didn't go to her job. I didn't call her friends. I didn't blow up her phone. I stayed home, picked up Toby from practice, made dinner, and helped him with homework like it was a normal Monday. Because here's what people don't realize: when you keep the house steady during chaos, the court sees you as the stable parent. And stability wins. At 7:40 p.m., Veronica finally texted. "Veronica, where are you? Veronica, you embarrassed me. Veronica, everyone thinks you're having a meltdown. Veronica, come talk like an adult." I stared at the screen and laughed once, quiet, no joy in it. Because the only reason she wanted to talk like an adult was because she felt the ground shifting under her feet. I replied with one sentence, "We'll communicate through my attorney." 3 minutes later, my phone rang. I didn't answer. 5 minutes after that, the texts turned uglier. "Veronica, you don't get to do this. Veronica, that cabin was private. You're overreacting. Veronica, and if you think you're keeping Toby from me, you're insane." Then the message that told me exactly who she was when she didn't get her way: "Veronica, I'll take the house. I'll take your retirement. I'll take the kids. You'll be left with nothing." I stared at that line and felt something settle in my chest. Not fear. A decision. Because if she wanted war, she was about to learn I don't fight with fists. I fight with proof. Tuesday morning, she came home like nothing happened. I heard the door open while I was in my office. I didn't move. The shower ran, 20 minutes, like always. Then, silence. Then a sound I'd never heard from Veronica in 18 years. A sharp, strangled gasp, pure panic. Footsteps ran down the stairs. She appeared in my doorway wrapped in a towel, breathing hard, eyes wide like a horror movie. "Adrian," she said, voice shaking. "Something's wrong. I need you." It took everything in me not to flinch at the irony. Because she didn't need me when she was humiliating me by the lake. She needed me now because she felt vulnerable. Because something in her life felt out of control. And Veronica couldn't survive in a world where she wasn't in control. She held up her hands and I saw strands of hair stuck to her fingers. "My hair, it's coming out," she whispered, horrified. "Look." I didn't step closer. I didn't comfort her. I just watched her spiral. "Have you seen a doctor?" I asked, calm. She blinked. "A doctor? Adrian, are you serious?" "I'm asking," I said. "Stress can do weird things." Her eyes narrowed, rage trying to push through the panic. "You did something," she said. "This is because of the cabin." I kept my voice even. "That's a big accusation." She stepped forward. "Don't play stupid with me. You're mad. You're trying to punish me." I didn't answer that. Instead, I asked the question that mattered. "Where's my grandfather's watch, Veronica?" Her face drained. Just like that, the panic changed into something else. Guilt. Cornered. "Why are you talking about that?" she snapped. "Because it's gone," I said. "And there's a deposit in your account that doesn't belong." She opened her mouth, then closed it. And in that moment, I didn't feel victory. I felt disgust. Because I realized she didn't just betray me emotionally. She betrayed my family history, something she knew I protected. Finally, she whispered, "I needed money." I nodded once. "For hotels?" I asked. "For Ryan?" She flinched like I'd slapped her. And that flinch told me everything. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat at my desk and created a folder titled, "Veronica," court inside it. I saved the messages, the receipts, the location history, the threats she texted, the bank records, and the proof of the missing heirloom. Then I created a second folder, "Ryan," work, because while the court might not care about cheating, companies care about liability. And I wasn't done learning what kind of man Ryan really was. Wednesday, Veronica tried to change the narrative. She posted an Instagram story, a black screen, a sad song, and one line, "Sometimes the man you marry becomes the man who hates you." By lunchtime, I had texts from people I hadn't spoken to in years. "Are you okay? Veronica says you're scaring her. What's going on?" I realized what she was doing. She was building her defense in public. Painting herself as the victim. Trying to pressure me into reacting so she could point and say, "See? He's unstable." I didn't respond to a single person. I forwarded screenshots to Derek. And Derek replied with one sentence, "Good. Let her talk. You stay quiet." Friday came fast. And that's when Veronica showed up at my door with Mila. Not to apologize. To intimidate. They stood on my porch like a united front, mother and daughter, same hard eyes, same posture. Veronica's voice was sharp. "You think you can lock me out of my own life?" Mila crossed her arms. "You're being pathetic." I looked at my daughter, the same kid I used to carry on my shoulders at the zoo. And I realized something that hurt worse than the affair. Mila wasn't just influenced. She was comfortable being cruel. I exhaled slowly and said, "This conversation is over." Veronica stepped forward. "No, it's not. We're not leaving until," I took out my phone. Mila's expression flickered. "What are you doing?" "Calling the police," I said calmly. "To document trespassing." Veronica froze. Because bullies don't expect paperwork. They expect emotion. They expect pleading. And when they don't get it, they don't know what to do. Mila grabbed her mother's arm. "Mom," she whispered, suddenly nervous. "Let's go." Veronica stared at me like she couldn't believe I'd actually do it. I met her eyes and said, "This is what you wanted, remember? The truth." And as they walked back down my driveway, I knew the next part was coming. Court. Custody. And the moment Ryan realized this wasn't a fun secret anymore. Because once consequences show up, men like Ryan don't stay. That night Derek called me. "We have a hearing date," he said. "And Veronica just made a mistake." I sat up. "What mistake?" Derek paused. "She put something in writing that could change everything." The hearing was scheduled for Thursday at 10:30 a.m. 3 days. That's how long Veronica had to rehearse her victim story. And trust me, she rehearsed. By the time we walked into the courthouse, she looked exactly how social media wanted her to look. Soft sweaters, minimal makeup, eyes already red, like she'd been crying in the car. Mila walked beside her, chin high, arms crossed, glaring at me like I was the enemy. I didn't look back. Because the moment you look defensive, you lose. Derek leaned in and whispered, remember, this isn't about who hurts more. It's about who looks stable. I nodded. I had slept 7 hours. I had eaten breakfast. I had taken my son to school on time. Stability. Inside the courtroom, the judge didn't smile. Judge Harrison was a woman in her early 60s, gray hair, sharp eyes, zero tolerance for nonsense. She didn't ask how anyone felt. She asked for facts. Veronica's lawyer went first. He painted a picture of emotional neglect. A husband who withdrew. A father who abandoned communication. A man who used intimidation. Then Veronica took the stand. Her voice cracked perfectly on cue. I felt invisible, she said. I begged Adrian to notice me. He worked from home, but he was never really there. Judge Harrison listened. Took notes. Then Veronica added the line she thought would seal it, and when I tried to leave the cabin to cool off, he stormed out and abandoned the family. That was the moment Derek stood. Your Honor, he said calmly, may I introduce Exhibit C? The screen lit up. Text messages. Timestamped. Unedited. Veronica's threats. Her words about taking everything. Her message comparing intimacy with me to a household chore. The courtroom went quiet. Judge Harrison leaned forward. Ms. Bennett, she said, eyes narrowing, did you send these messages? Veronica swallowed. Yes, but they were taken out of context. Judge Harrison didn't look convinced. Then Derek delivered the second hit. Exhibit D, bank records showing the sale of a family heirloom without consent, followed by hotel charges. Veronica's lawyer objected. Judge Harrison overruled him in half a second. Let me be very clear, the judge said. Marital dissatisfaction does not justify financial misconduct. Veronica's shoulders slumped. For the first time, her performance cracked. Then the judge turned to me. Mr. Keller, she said, you've been the primary caregiver? Yes, Your Honor. School schedules? Medical appointments? Daily routines? All mine. She nodded once. Then she turned to Mila. You're 17, the judge said. You have a voice here. Do you wish to speak? Mila stood up. Her hands were shaking, but her voice wasn't. My dad is controlling, she said. He embarrasses my mom. He's cold. He doesn't deserve custody. Judge Harrison listened quietly. Then she asked one question. Who helped you get to school on time for the last 5 years? Mila hesitated. Who made your meals? Silence. Who helped your brother with homework? Mila's jaw tightened. Finally, she said, my dad. The judge nodded slowly. Thank you. You may sit. The ruling didn't take long. Temporary primary custody of Toby, me. Supervised visitation for Veronica. Financial restrictions pending investigation. Veronica cried openly. Mila stared at the floor. I felt nothing. Not relief. Not joy. Just finality. Outside the courtroom, Veronica snapped. You did this on purpose, she hissed. You turned her against me. I looked at her, really looked. No, I said quietly. You showed her who you were. I just stopped protecting you. Mila glared at me. This isn't over, she said. I nodded. You're right. Because I knew something they didn't yet. That evening, Derek called. They contacted Ryan's company today, he said. My stomach didn't drop. It settled. Who? I asked. Compliance, Derek said. Someone sent them a very thorough package. I smiled for the first time in weeks. Because once a man like Ryan realizes the affair cost him more than a thrill, he doesn't stay loyal. He disappears. 2 days later, Veronica called me at 2:17 a.m. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. Her voice wasn't angry. It was terrified. Adrian. Ryan won't answer. His company put him on leave. Please, we need to talk. And that's when I knew, the collapse had begun. Ryan was officially fired on Monday morning. Not suspended. Not under review. Terminated. His company released a short internal memo, professional, sterile, brutal, employment ended due to violations of corporate ethics and misuse of company resources. That was it. No explanation to the public. No chance to spin the narrative. Just gone. By noon, Ryan had blocked Veronica on everything. Phone. Email. Social media. The man who once whispered promises by the lake vanished the moment consequences showed up. Veronica unraveled fast. By Wednesday, she missed her supervised visit with Toby. Didn't call. Didn't show. The social worker noted it in the report. By Friday, her attorney requested a delay. Judge Harrison denied it. And then came the financial reckoning. The court-appointed forensic accountant confirmed what Derek already knew. the heirloom sale, the hotel charges, the unreported cash withdrawals, all classified as dissipation of marital assets. Which meant one thing: Veronica wasn't just losing custody. She was losing leverage. Mila showed up alone. Saturday afternoon. I was making grilled cheese for Toby when the doorbell rang. I opened the door, and there she was. No attitude. No makeup. No sarcasm. Just a tired 17-year-old holding her phone like it was the only thing keeping her upright. "Can I come in?" she asked quietly. I stepped aside. She sat at the kitchen table while Toby ate in the other room. "I didn't know it would go this far," she said. I didn't respond. "I thought you'd just take it," she added. "Like always." That one landed. I wiped my hands on a towel and finally looked at her. "That's the problem," I said calmly. "You learn that people can be used if they're quiet long enough." Her eyes filled. "I didn't mean for Mom to lose everything." I nodded. "Intent doesn't erase impact." She swallowed hard. "Ryan's gone. Mom cries all the time. We might lose the apartment." I didn't flinch. "I can't fix consequences," I said. "Only patterns." She stared at the table. "So, what now?" I answered honestly. "Now you decide who you want to be when no one is protecting you." She stood up. Didn't hug me. Didn't argue. Just nodded and left. The final hearing was short. Judge Harrison didn't raise her voice once. She didn't need to. Full custody of Toby, child support adjusted downward due to misconduct, and no spousal support. Veronica looked like she'd aged 10 years in 3 months. When the judge finished, Veronica whispered, "I gave you everything." Judge Harrison corrected her. "No, Ms. Bennett. You spent it." The last message came 6 months later. From an unknown number. "I finally understand what I did. If you ever forgive me, I'll be here." I didn't reply. Not out of cruelty. Out of clarity. Life moved on. Quietly. Toby thrived. School improved. Laughter returned. Peace became routine instead of rare. Camila moved in slowly, never pushing, never replacing. Just building something honest. One night, Toby asked, "Dad, are you happy now?" I thought about it. "Yeah," I said. "I am." Some people confuse patience with weakness. Silence with surrender. Love with obligation. But the truth is this: you don't destroy your family by walking away from disrespect. You destroy it by staying and teaching your children that betrayal has no cost. I didn't win. I survived. And sometimes, that's the most powerful ending of all.